Hello, welcome to Quickify. Today we'll discuss about the prophecy in the book of Daniel 8 regarding the ram and goat. Okay, this vision is actually revealed to Daniel around 548 BC. So the first vision is regarding the two-horned ram, basically. Yeah, it is mentioned in Daniel 8:3. Then I lifted up my eyes and saw a ram with two horns standing beside a canal. The horns were long, but one was longer than the other, and the longer one grew up later. And the two-horned ram that you saw represent the king of Media Persia. So basically the prophecy is fulfilled by the appearance of the Medio Persian Empire from 559 BC to 480 BC. This is actually referred as the Achaemenid Empire. Right. It is originated from the smaller kingdom called Median Empire that was founded by Deleuze in 678 BC, and then it grew up, become a great empire under Shah Sares in 600 BC. However, the second kingdom, which is finally separated from the Median Empire, is called Persian Empire. It is under Cyrus the Great in 553 BC, and then finally it is taken over the larger kingdom. The Persian Empire grew up become the largest empire at a time under Cyrus the Great in 539 BC, and it reached peak in military power and economic power under Darius in 521 BC. Finally, this kingdom is conquered by Greece under Alexander the Great in 479 BC. And this is regarding the second vision of Daniel regarding the second goat. As mentioned in Daniel 8:5, so I was contemplating all of this. Suddenly, a goat with a prominent horn between his eyes came out of the west, crossing the surface of the entire earth without touching the ground. The second goat represents the king of the Greeks, and the large horn between his eyes is in the first king. Right? The Greek Empire here actually refers to the ancient Greek Empire or Macedonian Empire. Macedonian Empire. This originated from Macedonian city, Macedonian, uh, built by the Alexander I in 496 BC. The Greek Empire here grew up really fast under the Alexander III, Alexander the Great, and it is overthrown the Empire, Persian Empire under the Alexander III in 336 BC, and reached its territorial peak under Alexander the Great in 323 BC. Right. And then this kingdom finally are divided into four kingdoms. It is mentioned in Daniel 8:8. Thus the goat became very great, but the head of this power, his large horn, were broken off, and the four prominent horns came up in his place, pointing toward the four winds of heaven. The four horns that replaced were broken one represent four kingdoms that will rise from the nation, but will not have the same power. This finally fulfilled by the Hellenistic Empire in 323 BC until 33 BC. This four horn refers to four kingdoms after the Greek Empire. So that is happening after the Alexander III or Alexander the Great died. This kingdom were divided among his four generals. That is happening in 3022 BC. These four kingdoms are Lysimachus Empire, Cassander Empire, Ptolemaic Empire, and also Seleucid Empire. As you see on the history, finally there are the fifth kingdom, which is Antichrist kingdom. This is separated from the Seleucid much later on. The remnant of the Greek Empire here are known as the Hellenistic kingdom. As you see under Daniel 11, there is a battle between the king of north and the king of south. These are referring to the Seleucid kingdom and Ptolemaic kingdom on the south. Right? Seleucid is the king of the north, and Ptolemaic is the king of the north. And then also it is mentioned a little horn, finally in Daniel 8:12, right? From one of this horn, a little horn emerged and grew extensively toward the south and the east, toward the beautiful land. It grew as high as the host of the heaven. It cast down some of the hosts on some of the stars to the earth and trampled them. It magnified itself to the prince of the host, removed the daily sacrifice and offered to the place of his sanctuary. So basically, stopped the daily sacrifice in the temple of God in Jerusalem. On the discipline of the house, the daily sacrifice were given, offered to the horn, and it flung the truth to the ground and prospered in whatever it did. And in Daniel 23 and 24, it mentioned in the later part of the reign, when the revelation was reached its full measure, this is rebellion, refers to Maccabean rebellion. An insolent king's skill in trick will come to the throne, his power will be great, but it will not be in his own. He will cause terrible destruction and succeeded in whatever he does. He will destroy the mighty man along with the holy people. So what is happening is that Antiochus became the emperor of Seleucid kingdom in 179 5 BC. He claimed himself to be the same as God, which is the manifestation of Zeus. So Antiochus attacked Jerusalem, and after attacking Ptolemy in Egypt around 168 BC, he erected Zeus statue in the Holy Temple and forced Jewish people to worship it. So this is basically the abomination of desolation. He destroyed the Jerusalem city and killed and persecuted many Jews. Antiochus' attack raised up Maccabean revolt and in an attempt to recapture back the Jerusalem. Right? Maccabean revolt lasted for 7 years, from 167 to 161 BC. Detail of the story were recorded in the book of Maccabees 1 and Maccabees 2. So Antiochus basically is expanding their kingdom to the east, which is basically Seleucid, and to the north, this is basically Ptolemaic kingdom. And Israel are in the middle of the battleground. So this are the referring to the little horn of the king in the Daniel 8. That is different with the little horn in the Daniel 7, right? Okay. And finally, there are also mentioning about 2,300 evening and the morning, which is mentioned in Daniel 8, 13 and 14. Then I heard a holy one speaking, and another holy one said to him, how long until the fulfillment of the vision of the daily sacrifice, the replaced constellation, and the surrender of the sanctuary on the host to be trampled? He said to me, it takes 2,300 evening and morning. Then the sanctuary will be properly restored. So what does it mean? The sanctuary or the holy temple, basically, it will be trampled for 2,300 evening and morning. Okay, there could be two interpretations about this number, right? This could be a number of sacrifices or the number of days. Because if, based on the first interpretation, which is the number of sacrifices, 2,300 here, evening and morning refers the number of the daily sacrifice, because the daily sacrifice actually are offered 2 times a day, which is in the morning and in the evening. So that's 2,300 evening and morning here refers to 1,150 days. This is based on the Herodotus, right? This is the historian. And then Antiochus Epiphanes started the abomination by setting Zeus' idol in the temple of Holy Temple in Jerusalem in 15 December 167 BC, which is coming from the book of 1st Maccabean 154. On the 15th day of the 9th month of the 145 year, King Antiochus set up the abominable idol of desolation upon the altar of God. This date is actually referring to modern calendar 15 December 167 BC. And then finally, on the temple is started the offering again in 25 December, which is 164 BC. This now is referred to Hanukkah, right, by the Jews. So these days are actually coming from the first Maccabean 452 53. And they rose before morning, 2050 on the 9th month of the 148 years. The year here are referring to the year of the Greek kingdom. So, and they offer sacrifice according to the law upon the altar on 25 December, which is 164 BC, using the modern calendar calculation. So if you calculate, the number of these days is actually 1,150 days exactly. Okay. But there could also be the second interpretation. It's still questionable anyway. This interpretation is 2,300 days. It's based on the number 1434. Here number 1434, it is said that one day is equal to 1 year. For 40 years, 1 year or for each year, 1 year for each of the 40 days. So 40 years of the Israel in the out of Egypt, right? So in the middle of the desert, 40 days here is actually referred to 40 years. So that could also be that the daily sacrifice stopped in 70 AD by the Nero, right? When he destroyed the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. At 2,300 this year refers to 2,300 years. The Holy Temple may rebuild again 2,300 years again, which is 2,370 AD, which is the event in the future, right? When the third temple will be rebuilt again and the daily sacrifice may be started to be offered again. So that could be the second fulfillment of this prophecy. But whether this happened or not, we don't know now, right? So we can see it, whatever will happen in the future if we're still alive. Right? Okay. Even in the history itself, there are repetitive events happening, right? If you can see here, the Mongolian Empire is actually similar, has a similar characteristic with the Greek Empire, right? And the Mongolian Empire is actually originated from the Mongolian plain by Genghis Khan in 1204-06 AD. Just like the Greek Empire, it crosses the earth without touching the ground. It means it's expanding its territory really fast under the Genghis Khan in 1259 AD. Its territory expanded toward the east, Central Europe, East and South Asia, so four directions of the wind basically. Just like the Greek Empire, the one horn is finally divided into four horns, which is this kingdom, Mongolian Empire, were divided into four kingdoms. It is for Khanate in 1294 AD. This is the Yuan dynasty, Sakate Khanate, and then Golden Horde and Il Khanate. Yuan dynasty basically become Ming dynasty, and then become Jing dynasty, and finally become China. Sakate Khanate become the Sultanate of India, and then finally become India. Sultanate of Delhi and become the India. And the Khanate will finally become this Europe, Arabian countries, and Golden Horde here become the Russia, right? And also is part of East Europe. So in the history itself, you can also see that Israel has been attacked multiple times, basically Jerusalem, right? As the empire are expanding toward the four direction of the wind, and especially charging toward the east and toward the south, right? They were also expanding toward the beautiful land. So the beautiful land here actually refers to the beautiful land in the book of Ezekiel, which is called Israel, Ezekiel 26. And actually during the Roman Empire, right, the Israel destroyed by Nero in 17 AD. The Holy Temple is destroyed by Nero in 17 AD. And then Israel were, after that, ruled by many larger kingdoms. The first kingdom is Roman Empire, Byzantine Empire, Muslim Caliphate, and Catholic Crusader, which is under the Holy Roman Empire, Mamluk Sultanate, and also finally Ottoman Empire. So during this 1,000-year period of time, Israel had suffered hundreds of battles and million people had died. Jerusalem has been multiple times attacked and twice destroyed. After the World War I, Israel was released under British mandate in 1917. And after the World War II, Israel became the independent country in 1948. So finally, Israel coming back. And sooner or later, the Holy Temple in Jerusalem may also become back. But that will not be happen for now because it's still very difficult, right? In the end of the time, finally, Israel will also be ruled by the world government. Jerusalem city has been without temple for 2,000 years, right? 2,000 plus years. So the question is, could it be rebuilt again 2,300 years after the destroyed by Nero in 70 AD? Because the daily sacrifice has been stopped since 70 AD, right? So if that's so, then the daily sacrifice will be restarted again in 2370. Then it will fulfill the second fulfillment of the prophecy in the book of Daniel, right? But then the question is still remain the question until now, right? God asking Daniel to sleep and keep the vision much later on because this vision is regarding the vision of the end of time. And it will also be revealed in the end of time later on. So until now, what we can do is just still questioning. Right? Well, that's basically the story about the book of the Daniel 8. Let's close it with a simple prayer. Thank you, God the Father, for revealing your vision to Daniel. You had fulfilled your prophecy to Daniel in the past. You also will fulfill it in the future. It may or not may happen during our lifetime, but we believe your word is true. We keep us faithful until the end and do our homework to preach your gospel. We want everyone to be saved. Thank you, Lord Jesus. We love you. Amen.